What's up, Pod Pals? It is your buddy Adam, and you are checking out Podcasting Business School. This is the show where I teach podcasters how to love their show like a hobby and build it like a business. Today is a podcast audit session. I've got my new pod pal, Cody Beck from the American Hauntings podcast. We're going to dive into his show. I'm thrilled to have just learned that he lives in my hometown, my new hometown of St. Louis, Missouri. So we're going to get to connect in real life, hopefully. But I'm excited to dive in. This is an interesting show. It's something I haven't audited a show like this, so I'm interested to dig in. So, Cody, welcome to the show, man.
Hey, Adam, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate you taking the time, and thanks for the kind words. And yeah, I know you said you're really excited to be back in St. Louis. We'll see how you feel once you actually get here and experience the humidity again and all that. But yeah, I'm happy you're coming back this way.
I bought a new car the first week I was out here, so I had to go figure out how to get a license plate in Missouri, which was about a 3-hour experience. At the license branch. And somebody was behind me. He goes, "Welcome to misery." I was like, "Oh, license branches, you can't base your experience on living somewhere off the license branch." Like, I'm sure it's better than that. But anyway, that was pretty funny. That happened last week. So I want to dig into your show. Who is the ideal listener for the American Hauntings podcast? Who's like just going to totally nerd out over it?
Yeah, I would say history buffs, I would say, because we dive into a lot of very detailed stories, and we try to kind of separate fact from the fiction. I talked about how it initially started as history versus hauntings. So we would say, it's a show where we dive into true crime and paranormal stories, but then we give real factual deep dives into the history behind these places. So people say, so anybody that's interested in, paranormal or true crime or just, kind of weird, wacky things like that, people would say, there's a building with an abandoned pool and everybody sees the ghost of a little girl or something. We'd say, okay, well, that's great, but, only 2 grown men ever died in this building. So we're just giving you the information and the stories and then letting people kind of come to their own conclusion. So anybody that's curious about history or anything paranormal or spooky, I'd say is our ideal listener.
Nice. That's cool, man. I remember the first time I ever got like really scared about something in line with this was the 3 Men and a Baby movie. When there's like the ghost girl outside the window or whatever. Yeah. And I had an older sister that's like 9 years older than me. So she really like, I have no idea if that's even like a thing or not, but she scared the crap out of me with this. She's like, "Look, there's the ghost baby." And I was like, "Oh my God." So I had nightmares about that for a while and I never watched that movie ever again. So have you guys done an episode to break that down at all?
We haven't, but if it makes you feel any better, I believe it was a cardboard cutout that was on set that was left behind like a window curtain or something. But see, that's the thing. Like, I don't want to always just ruin a good story. And I don't want the truth to get in the way of a good story sort of thing. So I try not to just debunk stuff just because.
I feel so much better though. So
good. That was my goal.
I might watch that movie with my kids one day. I don't know. No ghost baby. Okay. So let's paint a picture for your show. Because obviously as a podcaster, you've been doing this for a decent amount of time and you've got some traction and, I want to figure out like what that next level looks like. So let's say we're sitting down having a conversation like this 6 months from now and things are really cooking business wise, content wise, engagement wise. Like what would that next 6 months of progress look like for you if everything really was looking good?
Yeah, I had a unique situation with this podcast because I have a co-host named Troy Taylor he's an author and historian and really big fish in a small pond kind of thing as far as the paranormal community goes. So we already had his audience to tap into right from the beginning, and so the show grew pretty quickly because like I said, he already had an audience already built up, and it's continued to grow after that, but it's definitely slowed down on that organic growth because I think we just kind of tapped out majority of his audience. And so now I'm trying to figure out how to continue to grow the show with, if there are, I know there's not going to be another lever that I could pull like a giant audience like his again, but now it's trying to figure out, how much time do I really want to focus on social? How much do I want to focus on the, email list we've built up over the years? How much should I be focusing on partnerships and stuff? So I think figuring in the next 6 months, I'd really like to figure out just where to focus the time and the energy, because I feel like right now To be blunt, I'm kind of half-assing a lot of things. So it's like, sort of posting on social, sending out email blasts when we do an episode, but that's about it, and not tapping into the audience more. And then we're definitely doing some partnerships, but working a full-time job and just life in general, you only have so much time and resources to go around. So I'm really trying to figure out how to kind of clear up my focus as far as where I should put my energy and resources into continuing to grow the show.
Okay. So, and just to kind of get a full picture for me, for my ideas, monetization wise, are you guys doing some sponsorship plays or what's that look like?
Yeah, so we run host-read ads as well as programmatic through our hosting platform of Red Circle, and then we also have a Patreon that people can subscribe and pay different tiers for a month, and then have a couple one-off sponsorships. People have reached out independent of our hosting platform, and we'll just do a direct deal for a set amount of money and downloads. And the monetization's going great, honestly. I think I've had so many hobbies that I ended up ruining by trying to turn them into businesses. And this was the one that I tried the hardest to not monetize and not ruin. And it's been the most financially successful one ever, So it's funny how
Nice.
that works. So, I mean, I'm always down to make more money, but that's not, it's not exactly the goal at the moment. And I feel like if I focus on doing other things right, then the money would continue to come with that.
Okay. So that paints a real clear picture for me. So I think you've got the business through line in place. Like you have things that are working when your audience reacts and they hit you up on Patreon or more people listen in, the sponsorship numbers go up. So that's good. That's excellent. Let's talk about getting more people in front of your show and like fresh meat, fresh blood, fresh people that are out there that are finding you via social or through marketing efforts and things like that. It hit home when you said that you feel like you're kind of half-assing it on a lot of things. That's where most podcasters are at that are in your position. You're a little bit further along than the average listener of my show, but we all still have this problem of we do a lot of trying, and I want to convert you from going from trying to executing. So the difference to me with that is we need to have a set marketing plan that we're kind of holding our feet to the fire on as far as what happens. An episode goes live, what happens over the next, especially the next 72 hours. That's going to be important marketing wise. And then experimenting with that for a set amount of time and going, okay, did this work or not? And then let's make a tweak and go, let's get rid of this thing and let's add this other thing and see if that works better and see what's really going to move the needle. So are you following so far?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So a goal that I have for my audience and for my clients is that within 72 hours of release, I want you to have 5 unique marketing assets that are deployed. So like within, especially Spotify and Apple, 72 hours is kind of the algorithmic sweet spot of a new piece of content goes out into the ether. And the more activity that you drive to that platform, the more that they're going to share it out when people are searching for ghost stories, horror stories, whatever. And that means your name is going to pull up a lot more easily. So with 5 assets, like what are you putting out on social media now? Are we doing, videos, reels, TikTok? Like what's an average social media marketing promo look like for you?
It really depends on how motivated I am at the moment. But what I started off doing was just pretty much a straight image with the title of the episode or whatever, new episode dropped, that sort of thing. Then I eventually upgraded to doing. Are you familiar with the Headliner app?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, so I would put out headliners where I would take like a funny or brutal 30 seconds of our conversation story, and then I'd still have the kind of image with the episode title and description and all that, but then I'd play and I'd put the little audio wave file kind of things over that, so people, even if it was on mute, they could kind of see that something was happening on Instagram or something. And I put that out there, and then I fill out the description, and get some relevant hashtags, things like that. Then I send out an email to, we have an email list of, I don't know, 700 people maybe at this point. So I'd send out an email with a different longer image and details about the show. And then I'd also use that to promote kind of 3 different things that we're doing in the American Hauntings community. So whether Troy has a new book coming out or we have a conference or an event or something, So that's just a way for me to touch base with everybody every 2 weeks. Then I have about the last 5 episodes are always embedded on the website, and I always put the most recent one at the top. And uh, then Troy would post it on his Facebook author profile instead of his personal one. And then sometimes if I felt like diving into the madness that was Twitter, I would share it on Twitter. Um, if not, that place just makes me sad now, so I avoid that a lot. But like I said, a lot of that has, especially as he and I both gotten busier, a lot of that has slowed down. I still always put it on the website. I still always share it at least somewhere and send out an email, but I don't always do the social posts and things because it wasn't getting a lot of engagement. It was hard for
Yep.
me to really track. Is this, it's Instagram, so they want to keep you in the app. So it was hard for me to kind of, I'm sure it was helping, but it was really hard for me to justify, is this actually driving traffic somewhere? Are we getting, any new listeners from this, or is it just reminding people that already have it, the show automatically downloading? So yeah, I think it was hard for me to track the success of different efforts, which made it easier for me to justify stopping them.
Yeah. Okay. Now, social media wise, what platform seems to be the one that you do get engagement on the most, or that it seems like the best fit for where your ideal audience members are hanging out?
Yeah, Troy's author Facebook profile does really well with engagement, and then after that, probably our Instagram. We mostly only get when we post a new episode. We'll get some shares, if of the story or something, if it's a story or a post, or if we have an event or a conference or a dinner or something like that, we'll get a lot of people like tagging the podcast and stuff. So that's nice. But yeah, I would say so Troy's author Facebook profile, which is not our podcast, but just American Hauntings in general. And then our American Hauntings podcast specific Instagram account is where we
Okay.
do the most.
Okay. Let me give you a few ideas on. I'm getting the sense that this needs to be really time efficient and like engagement effective. So let's find the sweet spot with that, with the platforms, with Facebook and with Instagram, what could work. So the first idea that I'd have you consider is switch that audiogram out into an actual video of you two talking on the show, like what we're doing right now. This is going to be recorded, and I'll do a little 60-second clip of this. And it's not going to take you, it may not take you any more time than it does to put that headliner clip together.
Mm-hmm.
So what I will do, like we're recording in StreamYard, it kind of gets dressed up around the outside, so it looks cool. You can put a little, whatever you want in the background, and then I go into an app called Descript, and I'll send you a link to that with my notes. But I have kind of a set little banner on top, banner on the bottom. I slide this video into the middle, and then you can edit on Descript. You can edit, if you edit the text, it edits the video, which I really like. So
Mm-hmm.
I scan through real quick, find that 60 seconds of gold, and then I delete everything else, kind of mush it all together, and then I've got a video. Now, with that 60-second video, you can I would recommend posting this on Instagram as a reel, because that's going to get more reach. So that's going to help with just more eyeballs in general. But then you can share it into your Instagram story. You can post it. It's great for Facebook. That all fits. Facebook Reels, TikTok, the same video, and just copy and paste the text on all those different platforms, and that's gonna get you a long direction, and you'll get more engagement, and you'll, with the video, like, it just brings more you into the marketing, and
Sure.
that's something that people like to nerd out on, like who's actually behind this podcast. So that's something that I would strongly consider. Another thing that maybe you haven't thought of is going live, like doing some sort of a 15-minute-ish live Q&A/recap of the latest episode on Instagram, and you kind of preview it. You let people know what's happening. It's a certain day, certain time. I like doing mine. So my Tuesday episode goes live at 1 a.m. Eastern, and then I do a live at 6:30 p.m. Eastern that same day. So within like 24 to 48 hours, give your audience a chance to listen to the episode, and then you can kind of unpack it a little bit, but then answer questions or get feedback. Or because now on Instagram, you can pull up to 3 people on the screen with you. So imagine having 3 podcast fans that get to pop up and nerd out with you on the episode. Be like, this was the best part, or I had questions about that, or like maybe it's almost like a mini interview of you and the fans. And that's going to level up engagement. We level up engagement. We level up our super fans. And as you know, we get super fans. They're the ones who want to tell everybody about our show.
Right.
And the other cool thing about that Instagram strategy is if they are followers of your show and of your brand and listen to it, and if they pop on live with you, the Instagram live push notifications go to their audience also. So every, not unofficially, this is my Adam science. I always look and see when the most people are popping in. It seems about every 12 minutes, there's a push notification that you're live. So, minute 0 through 2, you'll notice people popping in. And then around 10 to 12, you'll see more people popping in. That means a push notification went out going, hey, Adam's live. Come check it out. But if Adam and Cody are live on the screen together, it's doing that for my audience and your audience. If you have an additional 2 people, it's going 4 directions. And if those people are fans of your show, I almost guarantee that some of the people that are, following them are going to be into your stuff too. So it's a great way to scoop up those new listeners, because like, oh, Jane never goes live. What's she doing live? They'll just, out of curiosity, just click on it and there you are.
Sure.
So is that making sense so far?
Yeah. And it also makes me wonder who follows us on Instagram that has the largest following, so I can pull them into the live stream.
Now you're thinking, Cody. Or do you guys have like special guest speakers or guests on the show? Or are you guys always just storytelling and unpacking hauntings?
We only bring other people on for the Patreon episodes. Every now and then we'll push one of those to the main feed, especially if it's like somebody really big or something that we want to showcase, to get people enticed enough to come to the Patreon. But for the main show, it's always just the 2 of us.
So think along those lines, though. I'm really happy that your brain went there. We think alike. So maybe you meet somebody at a conference or at an event and they are in the same niche as you and they've got a giant Instagram following. Find a way to invite them to your live cast. Like, oh, I do this live cast every Tuesday or whatever. You got to come on and let's just talk about your content. We'll talk about my content. We'll do a little mini interview. That's for people that don't do official interviews. This technique is a really great space to network and add value, because maybe they've got a podcast and they do interviews and you'd be a great fit for them. You can reach out to them, add value first, have them on your Instagram live. You can even shout it out on an episode. Make sure you guys are checking out it, or your newsletter or whatever. So it all kind of weaves together. And now you've got a foot in the door with this person with a big brand and a whole bunch of potential followers for you. So I think this is a good idea. This is going to be worth spending a little bit of time thinking over, like what day would it be, what time, but just getting the cadence. Like I do mine every single Tuesday. I schedule it in advance. I can show you how to do that on Instagram. It's not too hard. I'll create a little image. Like you'll see every Thursday, an image will pop up that says, click the, on my regular Instagram feed and in my story, it'll say, click the reminder bell to get a reminder for my live on Tuesday. And I'm sharing that out. So it's always live in my story. And then people click that reminder bell, they get a notification when I go live and we're off and running. So I think that idea will pay off for you. And then a couple other quick ideas would be podcast player app ads. Have you guys run any ads on like Overcast FM or anything like that?
Haven't done that yet. And I actually use Castro as my podcast app, which I know is a random one, but I just really like the user interface and the way it runs. And I see some like sponsored episodes and things every now and then. I've definitely debated on looking into it. I think we've checked out maybe Spotify ads at one point, but I think that was it. But I haven't really looked anywhere else.
So right now I'm not recommending Spotify ads because there's too much targeting and it's a little bit harder. It's a little bit more expensive, but it's getting better. I'm going to send you a couple places. I call my podcast ads fishing holes. One I talk about on the show. The other one I don't, because I ruined the first one. The first one is Overcast FM. I did a full episode on it and it's demand-based ads. So I do an episode on it and guess what happened? The price is freaking quadrupled.
Yep.
So there's another one that I don't mention, but I will send it to you.
Okay.
But like Overcast is an app and you've seen, on Castro, I like the banner ads because you could pick a category like true crime. I think you could do really well with history. You could do really,
Mhm.
really well with, and those are usually, history is usually cheaper, one of the cheaper categories, which is great. And
Right.
we're shooting for like $5 or less per new subscriber. So you spend $500, you get 100 new subscribers or more is kind of the cadence that we're looking at. But you can buy ads for a couple $100 and get, 50, 100, I've gotten 200, sometimes I'll get that dollar per new subscriber mark, and it's just a banner ad. There's no targeting. They pull your image from your podcast and you get 2 lines of text. So it's not like Facebook ad, algebra that you got to be able to learn. It's
Right. Right.
simple. Like I could give you the website and you'd have an ad ready to go in 4 minutes or less. And it starts running right away. So somebody's listening on Overcast, listening to a true crime podcast, all of a sudden your banner ad pops across the top. They track who sees, how many people see it, how many people tap on it, and how many people actually hit the subscribe button, which is great data. And I think that would be a great investment of some of those Patreon funds, where if you're like, we're going to take a couple $100 a month or $500 a month and put it into this, that's going to directly show up in new subscribers. So I'll send you some info on that. I'd highly recommend that. I think our 2 best ideas out of this view, and I'll put a little challenge out here in a second, but the lives, I feel really good about, Cody. That there's a lot of good stuff happening there, good use of your time, and it's interaction with your audience, which I always love. And then the paid ads on these apps, spending a couple $100 a month, just kind of organically growing the right fit audience for your show. So any questions on that so far?
No questions on that. I do have something I'm curious about. I'm sure you've probably talked about this before, and I have a feeling you might have strong opinions on it. But you have any thoughts on like doing feed drops and stuff on other people's show? Where, putting out one of your episodes on somebody else's feed. I know people have approached us about that a lot, and I was really worried about confusing or upsetting our audience, and I just didn't know if you had thoughts on that.
I love the way you think, Cody. So I do a lot of promo intro swaps. Like you should
Mhm.
definitely do one for my show. I don't have to do one for your show, but like, people are like, on my Tuesday episodes, you can hear all these other podcasters introducing my show, but also mentioning their show. It's a little ad. So I
Uh-huh.
love that. I'm all on board for that. The next level is the full on, I call it a takeover episode. So it's like you would record a full on, new episode. It's not an old episode from your show or anything like that. It's like a brand new content, record it, put it out as an episode of my show. I'm down with this, but what I would do is, whenever you put out your normal episode, I would put that out as a bonus episode that week and mention it in the normal episode and go, hey, we got a special thing happening this week. We've got so-and-so from the blah, blah, blah podcast. They're a great show that we recommend. On Thursday, we're going to do a bonus episode, and it's going to be whoever from the blah, blah, blah podcast, and they're going to be running the show as a bonus episode. And guess what? We're going to be on their show on Thursday doing the same thing for them and their brand. So, and I'll just explain that.
Okay.
And that way it's not weird. And then I would do some sort of intro at the very beginning and be like, hey, just so you know, this is a bonus episode, a special guest takeover edition of the American Hauntings podcast or whatever. And you just kind of set that up. And at the end, make sure that they know how to get to their show and go subscribe if they want to. But I think that's for storytelling niche type podcasts. This is a great way to grow your brand. So I would be, as long as you explain it to your audience, I'd be all in on this, man. Because I mean, I'm sure that you have like a list of 4 or 5 podcasts that you listen to regularly. So it's not necessarily, oh, I don't want to do this with another show in my niche, in my lane, because they're going to quit listening to my show and only listen to that show. Like, I don't think that happens, but that is a real fear that people like you and I have. But I think the opportunity, well, you have some people do that, maybe, but I think the amount of people that you gain from this will be way, way, way bigger than somebody that decides like, oh, I'm not into Cody's stuff anymore. This other person is so much better or whatever.
Right.
So, that's, I wouldn't stress out about that. Is that helpful?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. Thank you.
All right, cool. Well, we're coming at the edge of our time here. So what I like to do at the very end, we've talked about a lot of stuff. I'm going to send you my notes, but I want to make sure that we're implementing. So I've kicked out a bunch of ideas. This is my 24-hour challenge. So in the next 24 hours, what do you think is like the key step that you want to try to take in line with something that we discussed? Like, what's the first domino that you want to kind of push over to create momentum in line, whether it's the Instagram live thing or, the episode swap thing or paid ads or whatever? What do you think is that first domino that you can do in the next 24 hours here?
Yeah, well, since we just put out an episode today, and I usually put them out at about 3 a.m. Central Time. And since we're recording remotely, I do have the video for that. So, and I haven't put out any promo stuff for it. So I think I'm going to take your advice and grab
Nice.
a little clip from that video and put that out because people have never really seen us do anything. Like we did a Facebook Live thing a couple years ago, but that was it. So I think I need to promote the episode anyway. You've already motivated me to do that, but now you've given me the idea of doing the video of us. So I think that's the next step.
Nice. And I use Descript. There's a lot of different editors out there. Descript does make my world famous 2009 MacBook Air go very, very slow. So I'm sure you got a newer computer than I do, but that's my old 2009 MacBook Air with the beat up keys that you can't even read anymore. So just be ready for that. But I think that is a home run idea. I think you'll do really well with that, and I think your audience will really enjoy it. So, Cody, let's make sure we can shout you out, dude. If people want to come and check out the American Hauntings podcast, where are they going to go?
Yeah, you can go to AmericanHauntingsPodcast.com. And I'm always taking listener feedback and ghost stories and everything at AmericanHauntingsPodcast@gmail.com. You can find us on Instagram at American Hauntings Podcast, Twitter at AmerHauntsPod because I was limited on characters. But yeah, just search AmericanHauntingsPodcast.com or just search American Hauntings and you'll find us.
Outstanding. Cody, I appreciate you, man. Appreciate you coming on the show. I can't wait to meet in real life in the city of St. Louis. I'm very excited about that. And let's see what happens on I'll be watching on Instagram, see what happens with maybe some lives, maybe some videos. We'll see what happens there. All right. For everybody that's listening in, if you want to join the show and come on for a podcast audit, just like my pod pal, Cody, head on over to the website, podcastingbusiness.school. Get signed up. There's a bit of a wait list. So I don't want you to have to wait till the year 2030 to get on the show. So let's get you signed up, podcastingbusiness.school. And with that, I will send you out into the world wishing you health, happiness, and many downloads. We'll see you next time.